Well, hi, I'm Jeff Strong. I'm creator of the Auditory Brain Stimulation Therapy Rhythmic Entrainment Intervention. And I'm also creator of the Healing Arts Entrepreneur Coaching Program. In this video, I want to talk about the one thing that separates the people who are successful from the people who are not. And that's clarity. Clarity of vision in what you want to create, and clarity of action in actually getting stuff done. This is really important. Most of the people I run into that are struggling, the people who come to me, either don't have a clear vision of who they are and where they want to go, or they don't have a clear vision of how to get there through the actions they're going to take. And so a lot of my coaching, and the whole point of my coaching program, is to help people define what that is, and then give them the tools they need to be able to make that happen. When I first started out, I had an idea. I had a vision of playing therapeutically. I wanted to take the drumming and I wanted to do something with it that was really impactful and powerful. That was my clarity of vision. That was the extent of my vision at that point. But I was very clear that I wanted to be playing for people. I didn't want to be playing with people. And so being able to look at who you are and see what aspect of the work that you do is true to you, and being able to step outside of what was considered the norms to be able to define that, even if it's down a path that no one has ever walked before. It's not that nobody has ever played the way I'm playing for people. My teacher did, but they never did it in the context that I was doing it within kind of contemporary society and putting it in kind of a clinical format and following it up with a recording that somebody could listen to, and then doing research. But when I started playing one-on-one, it was amazing to me as I kept that vision, that clarity of vision of playing one-on-one. This is my thing. And I called it rhythm healing. And my thing was to play for people and watch the response and make a long-term change. Things started falling into place. These amazing synchronicities started happening because I kept the clarity of my vision. And in the process, when these opportunities came up, one opportunity, for instance, which was the most pivotal, was the first person with autism I played for. A friend of mine was working through an agency. She was working as a caregiver for children on the autism spectrum, and one of the families she was working with had this kid who had high anxiety, and she knew what I was doing, asked me if I'd come in and play for this girl, and this girl calmed down right away. Her anxiety reduced at a significant level that it was pretty obvious that it was the drumming that was happening. And as it turns out, the parents of that child were connected to a larger network within the autism world, and some research that was being done on auditory interventions. And so there's sort of that little seed there. While simultaneously, I had a student in my drumming class where I was showing technique. I find out that he was a psychologist in a school district that specialized in autism. They had one of the most progressive autism programs at the time. And I remember describing to him what I was seeing with this child I was working with, because I never expected that I would be able to do what I was doing. And so I was kind of bouncing off him a little bit about what might be going on. And he said, "Would you be willing to do a study in this school? I bet we could get it in there." So I worked with him to pull the study together, put the study in the school. We're looking at just a modest thing. Could we calm the children? And by the way, are these long-term changes that could happen listening every day? And finished the study, put the data together, and I kind of walked away. I was getting ready to just travel and look at more of the traditions that I'd been studying, to kind of go deeper into that end of it. And just as I was getting ready to leave the country, I got a call saying, "Would you be willing to speak at this autism conference?" And so I went back to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I spoke at this conference, and right after that, I got another call from somebody who'd heard about me, from the original child's family that I worked with, heard about me because this person had written a book about autism and different treatments, wanted to know what I was doing. Word spread, and now all of a sudden I was invited to speak at another conference across the country that specialized in autism therapies. And it was to professionals. This was a professional conference speaking to 300 researchers around the world about this idea. I put that presentation together, I spoke there, and one thing led to another. I've spoken at well over 100 professional conferences over the years, presenting the different research we've done. By keeping my vision on the one-on-one playing that I'm so passionate about, but also being able to take the steps. I mean, it was a tremendous amount of work to put that study together, to get approval from the school to put it in there, and then to follow up and actually do it. Pull the data together, to go and speak at these places and keep gathering more and more data. But the path was really clearly laid out for me, one step at a time, because I had the clarity of vision that this is the way I wanted to do it. Once I had that vision in front of me, I was never asked to do drum circles again. No one wanted me to come and play in a group because I wasn't open to it. So as you do your practice, define what it is that really sets you apart, what it is that your essence has to say about what you want to be in the world. Really refine it down. And that's part of what I do in my coaching program, is I help you set the platform around that so that everything you do is really congruent with who you are and your authentic self and your authentic work. And it gets to be unique, and it gets to be something that might not be what other people consider viable. I remember when I tried to first incorporated this business in 1994, the attorneys that were helping with this process were looking at me shaking their heads thinking, you're crazy. There's no way you're going to turn this into a business that you can actually make money on. It's worked. I've made millions of dollars doing this with my business and kind of branching out the way I have. And I'm still doing drumming for the brain and behavior. I'm still basically playing one-on-one. Right now I'm doing video as well as my courses and my programs, and just staying with the clarity of what I was doing allowed me to grow in a way that I never would have predicted. There's no way that I would have predicted that this business would be doing what it's doing right now. With BrainShift Radio, with the REI custom programs, with the drum healing course, with this program, authorized provider training, and the reach that we've gotten, all came from me just playing one-on-one with people and keeping the vision of this is the way I want to do it. How can I make this into something that's going to work? I won't say it hasn't been hard. There was many years that it was a real struggle, especially when you're doing research, because research is so darn expensive to do. I actually had to fall back on writing books. But that actually led me down a really great path. I was trying to sell, in the late 90s, I was trying to sell a book, kind of the research we were doing, this idea of drumming this way. Passive listening to drumming rhythms. What does that mean? I didn't want to look at drum circles and those pieces. I felt like that had been done. I wanted to talk about rhythm healing and the specificity of rhythms and how it affects brain and behavior. And I sent out so many query letters to different agents. I mean, it's hundreds. To every agent I could possibly imagine. I talked to a bunch of people. Everybody said to me, wow, that's really cool what you're doing, but there's no way we can make this a book and sell. And so I was getting really discouraged. And I think it was in 2000, I got a call from an agent out of the blue that I had sent a packet to saying, hey, are you interested in this? And she said, you know, I can't sell your original idea, but would you be willing to write a book on drumming? Just a general book on drumming. And I said, well, can I use hand drums? Because all the drumming books out there, for the most part, were on drum set. And most drummers want to play their drum set, and they want to play in a rock band or whatever. And so it makes sense. But I wanted to bring in not just the drum set, I wanted to bring the hand drums in and make a connection between traditional drumming and traditional rhythms and drum set, so that you understand that the drum set actually comes from all this. It comes from people playing together, bunch of different drums. Now you have one drummer, how are you going to do it? Well, you're going to create this, what they used to call a trap kit, which had a whole bunch of different drums and cymbals to kind of emulate 4 or 5 drummers. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to put that out there, and I wanted to give technique for people who wanted to play hand drums as well as drum set. And I said that to the agent. I said, would they be willing to do this? And she said, well, I don't know, throw a proposal together. I turned a proposal around in about 2 hours. And sure enough, I get a call from her not even a day later saying they want the book. And they gave me a huge advance, because this is back in the year 2000 when advances weren't too shabby. They gave me a huge advance, and then they wanted to give me more money to do the photos of the drums for the book and to do the CD for the book, because they thought that would be really cool to have a CD in there. That became my first book. Nothing to do at all with what I wanted to do, which was, hey, look at this cool research I'm doing. It was all about drums, and actually the book became Drums for Dummies. And I had some issues initially with the For Dummies brand, but I'll tell you something. I've written 7 books for Dummies for Wiley, the publisher of the For Dummies series, and those books have earned me a ton. They paid for research for a very long time. They allowed me to be able to continue doing the work I was doing, keeping the clarity of vision that I had, taking the steps that were in front of me, that were laid out to me based upon that clarity of vision, and being not afraid to step outside of what I thought I wanted to do. I didn't know that I would spend a few years writing these books. I've got books on audio recording, and I've got books on software, and I've got a book on ADHD, all in this Wiley brand of For Dummies, that all came about because they liked what I wrote for Drums for Dummies, which led to my latest book, Different Drummer. And now I have another couple books in the works, one of which is The Healing Arts Entrepreneur, based upon this course. But it's all kind of led one to the next because I kept my vision on me playing one-on-one for people. And when there was times when it didn't seem like there was enough support for this vision or enough clarity in what I needed to do next, the universe handed me something else that allowed me to fill the gaps, develop some more skills. There's no way I could have written Different Drummer had I not had experience writing the other books. There's just no way I could have done it. But those other books gave me the skills to be able to pull the memoir off. So as you do this, keep clarity of vision. Keep your eye on the big picture. Define who you are. And then follow the steps that show in front of you, keeping true to what you want to do. You may need to make some pivots along the way, but that's okay. But if you stick with the true vision of what you want, keep that clarity and that focus, you will make it. It will happen. It may take some time, but that's normal. There's no overnight success. It just doesn't happen. I've been at this 25 years, and I feel like every year is another step. I feel like there was really no breakout that defined success for me. It was a progressive building over years. I'm way further than I was 25 years ago, but I'm a long way from where I want to go. So you got to just stick with it, keep the clarity of vision, and keep working. That's the goal here. So I'm going to play a little bit. I'd love for you to settle in, kind of settle inside yourself, and take a look at what defining piece is what drives your work. How are you unique? What is it that you have to offer in the way you do your work that defines you as a therapist, as a healer? And use that clarity and that vision as the seed to be able to move forward. So I'm going to play a little bit. I'm going to play about 7 beats per second, high end of theta, kind of an inwardly directed state to help you kind of access that creative space. And just see what you get, write it down afterwards, and I'll see you in the next video.